Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All good to share Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to today's Chaitanya Charitamrita class, chapter 7, verse 6. The chapter is entitled Lord Chaitanya Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. And today we are going to be speaking on Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, of course, all the expansions. But now we're going to go one by one, and we're very happy to have His Holiness Candramauli Swami with us. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you and Shri Prabhupada.
Hello, glories to Prabhupada. My obeisances to all the devotees.
And it's all yours, Maharaj.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhaktavinda Pancha Tattva Makam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Bhakta Shaktikam. Translation: Let me offer my obeisances unto Lord Sri Krishna, who has manifested himself in 5 as a devotee, expansion of a devotee, incarnation of a devotee, pure devotee, and devotee energy, devotional energy. So now it will describe these 5 Panchatattva: devotee, expansion, incarnation, pure devotee, and devotee energy. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the immediate expansion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his brother. He is the personified spiritual bliss of Satchidananda Vigraha. His body is transcendental and full of ecstasy and devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore called Bhakta Rupa, the form of a devotee, and Sri Nityananda Prabhu is called Bhakta Swarup, the expansion of the devotee. Sri Advaita Prabhu, the incarnation of a devotee, is Vishnu Tattva and belongs to the same category. There are different types of bhaktas or devotees on the platforms of neutrality, servitude, friendship, parentalhood, conjugal love. Devotees like Sri Damodar, Sri Gadadhar, and Sri Ramananda are different energy. That's Bhakti Shakti, or the energy. These confirm the Vedic sutras Parasya Shakti Vivadhaya Suyate. All these bhaktas subjects taken together constitute Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself. And then we should add that there is Srivas Thakur, which is the pure devotee. So that makes up the 5, like that. So maybe he'll speak about Srivas upcoming. So Panchatattva Makam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Avatara Bhakta Kyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam. So in order to approach Krishna in the form of the holy name, one must first offer prayers to these five, the Panchatattva. There's no use in trying to chant the holy name without first going through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, we glorify Lord Chaitanya and his, as it says, who has manifested himself as five by chanting this particular mantra, or Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda, which is a regular chant devotees take up. People sometimes who are born in certain areas of India don't understand Lord Chaitanya, or sometimes they never even hear about him, but they want to worship Krishna. So, but they can't in this age. They can try, but they won't get anywhere. And that's explained in another verse from the eighth chapter of Chaitanya Charita, Chaitanya Charita Lila. First, Adi Lila, chapter 8, verse number 31, describes in full how one must first worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then take his mercy, and then one can practice the chanting of the holy name without impediments. There is no offenses in chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda, but there are offenses in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We mentioned the 10 offenses that we speak practically every day in the temples, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives to the propagation to the holy name, to think that demigods like Lord Brahma and Shiva are equal to or independent of Lord Vishnu, 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master, 4, to blaspheme Vedic literatures and literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version, 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna as imagination, 6, to give interpretations on the holy name of the Lord, 7, to commit sinful activities on the holy name of the Lord, 8, to think that other processes of devotional, of spiritual elevation are just as good as chanting the holy names of the Lord, or just as powerful. 9, to instruct the faithless persons on chanting the holy name. 10, to not have complete faith in chanting and maintain material attachments after being sufficiently instructed on this subject matter. And then the additional offense is to be inattentive while chanting. So these are 11 offenses you can commit, and which will impede your process of devotional service. In other words, you won't get the full benefit of the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, or you get very little benefit. Therefore, it says in one verse that one who chants with offense can chant for hundreds of years and still not achieve the results of love of God, which is the goal of the chanting. But if you approach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first, then he makes it where you can free yourself from the tendency to commit offenses, and he can also make the chanting of the holy name more available. It says even sinful people can approach the holy name if they have full faith and devotion towards Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is Namo Mahavidanaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gauda Triste Namaha. He's the most magnanimous incarnation of the Lord. He doesn't accept any offenses. Of course, we shouldn't commit any thinking that it's okay. But he's very compassionate, and he allows even the most fallen to take up the process of chanting the holy name, provided we are worshiping Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. See, he opens the path of the holy name. Of course, the spiritual master is the representative of Lord Nityananda, and he is Guru Tattva. So Lord Nityananda is the original spiritual master, Nityananda Balaram. And therefore, they're very merciful. So we must, when you begin your chanting every day, you must first say with sincerity, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda, and pray to Lord Chaitanya so you can receive his mercy in order to chant properly the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra, although it's easily available, still there are offenses. We just named the 10 offenses just in the 11th offense just a few minutes ago. But there are other offenses too that will block our path in devotional service. So really the success in devotional service is to avoid offenses, every offense. And there's also offenses against the Lord, offenses against the name, which we mentioned, offenses against Vaishnavas, and offenses against people in general, the general populace. So these four, sometimes we add one, offenses against the holy Dham. So one should be very aware of what these offenses are and very diligent to avoid committing offenses. And if we can avoid committing offenses, the path of bhakti, with the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and the Panchatattva, becomes really easy and fast. And one can immediately chant the holy name and experience ecstasy. That's the power of the holy name, but there are so many requirements to avoid. Mostly it's about avoiding certain things. And of course, when we work under the guidance of the spiritual master, we get the knowledge of anukula and pratikula, which means to accept things that are favorable and avoid things that are unfavorable. And the biggest category of the unfavorable is offenses. If you read the Nectar of Devotion, you read the Nectar of Devotion, there's a list of 64 considerations, or some of them are things to do. They call them vidis, and things to avoid, nishedas. And one has to be pretty much aware of these in order to get to the platform of ecstatic devotional service. Because it's only offenses. The power of bhakti is immediate and very, what we say, fast. Fast, immediate, and it's very powerful. But these offenses or wrong conceptions sort of block our understanding on the path and create unnecessary obstacles. So therefore, one should very carefully read the Nectar of Devotion, especially the first 19 chapters, which outlines the whole process of bhakti, and even goes into the process of Raganuga Bhakti. The first 19 chapters, called the first wave. There's 4 waves. Waves are like described of directions: the eastern wave, the northern wave, the southern wave, the western wave. Each of those 4 waves are categorized with different subject matters on bhakti, which is the complete science of devotional service. But the first 19 are a must. When I first joined the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one of the regular things that we would do in the temples, this was done all around the world at that time when Prabhupada was present, During the prasadam times, both breakfast and uh, lunch, there would be someone reading from the scriptures. There would be no talking, and everybody would be listening to the reading while they were honoring prasadam. And I had the service of reading Nectar of Devotion during lunchtime. And I found myself reading it 5 times. In other words, continuously, I had that for months and months and months, reading Nectar of Devotion. And there's a nice book by one devotee in ISKCON. His name is Dhanadhar Swami. He's written a book called Waves of Devotion, which is it's a critique and a very detailed explanation of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion is being reprinted right now in ISKCON with a 41-page introduction, much bigger than it was before, with more, because as Prabhupada he gave us a summary study of the science. This is a more complete version of Rupa Goswami's The Nectar of Devotion. It's a very essential book. As Srila Prabhupada said to all of us, read it once, read it twice, read it thrice. That's a quote from Srila Prabhupada. It's the handbook for the guidance of devotional service. All of your questions and all of your concerns on how the process works, you can find in those first 19 chapters. And then beyond that, there's an expansion on other aspects of Krishna and devotional service, and what of the rasas, the different relationships, and what are not the rasas, what seem to be rasas, but are not actually rasas. So it's a very wonderful book. It's easily available. We call it the Handbook for the Science of Devotional Service. As Bhagavad Gita represents Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam represents Krishna in full, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is a personification of Lord Chaitanya. Nectar of Instruction is a personification. Nectar of Devotion is a personification of Srimati Radharani, who is Bhakti Devi herself. And one of the qualifications which are also required is one should, it'll come up in this particular chapter. If we stay with this chapter, you'll see it. There'll be a large amount of emphasis on one verse, Trinadapi Sunichena, Tayori Vasa Hishnuna, Amaninam Amanadena, Kirtaniya Siddharahi. So one should cultivate these qualities along with the execution of bhakti. What is that? Humility, tolerance, respect for others, and not expecting oneself. Amaninam amanadena, and not expecting any respect for oneself. And then as Lord Chaitanya, who has recited that verse, says, then one can chant the holy names of the Lord continuously and experience ecstatic happiness in chanting. So that's the way to approach the holy name. So there are many considerations, the mood of chanting as explained in that verse, and avoiding the offenses. So this is a great science. Nectar Devotion can delineate and explain it. Nectar of Instructions, which is also by Rupa Goswami, is even a smaller synopsis of the whole science of bhakti in 11 verses, just 11 verses. Very powerful. When Prabhupada released that in 1975, he was so happy. He said, immediately distribute that everywhere. The devotee said, even to the non-devotees, Prabhupada said, yeah, everyone distribute that one. And Prabhupada was so happy. So Rupa Goswami is our Abhideya Acharya. Sanatana Goswami is our Sambandha Acharya. And Raghunath Das Goswami is our Prayojana Acharya. So the Abhideya Acharya is the one who teaches the process of pure devotional service. The Sambandha Acharya is the person who connects us with the understanding of relationships. For instance, relationships with devotees on different levels, relationships with the holy name, relationships with the spiritual master, relationships with Krishna in different ways, relationships with the different aspects of devotional service. So that's Sambandha. That's the biggest and most, what we say, voluminous explanation of bhakti. Abhideya is the process, how devotional service should be executed. And Parajana is the goal. That means, what is the goal of devotional service? To awaken our love of God, Prema Pumartha Mahan. So all of these make up the whole science of the Vedic knowledge, divided into three categories, which is also, these three things, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. So especially study both Abhideya and study very carefully Sambandha, so you know the process and how it works. So this knowledge is fundamental to our advancement in devotional service. And Krishna explains that to Brahma in the very end of the Brahma Samhita. You see, he gives him three things to say. He says, one, he says, scriptural evidence, perseverance in practice, and Vaishnav behavior make up the whole process of bhakti. So if you can break it down from this, Krishna is giving this directly to Lord Brahma, as Brahma is seeing and talking to Krishna directly. He explains that. You can go to that verse. It's in Brahma Samhita, verse number 59 of the Brahma Samhita. I think you passed it up somewhere. It should be there. Look on that section. There it is. Verse number 59. It's an interesting verse. Let me see. Pramanais tad sad acharais tad abhyasayar nirantaram Bodayan atmanatmanam bhaktim apyuktamam lavyet. Now Krishna is speaking this. The highest devotion is attained by slow degrees, by the method of constant endeavor for self-realization, with the help of scriptural evidence, theistic contact, and perseverance in practice. Krishna sums it up in a very succinct way. And then there's some explanation here by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he gives a little bit of the theistic conduct, is really practiced by Trinadapi Sonichena Tayori Vasahishnana. That's the essence of theistic conduct. Scriptural evidence contains Srimad Bhagavatam, mentions the Gita, the Puranas, like that. We can't study the Vedas directly. And then, of course, perseverance in practice. That means one should understand the practice and be, when we say determined, in spite of all obstacles, to apply these principles and continue in devotional service. Very succinct and very powerful way that Krishna sums up everything. Devotional services can be easily explained, but it's a science, the science of reconnecting our consciousness with Krishna. We are always with Krishna. We can never leave Krishna. It's not possible to leave Krishna, but we're covered. We're covered by the material energy, and therefore we're not aware of our relationship with him. He is with us as much as we are with ourselves. He is there. He never leaves us, and we never leave him. but the consciousness that diverts our attention away from Krishna makes us feel separate from Krishna. It makes us feel like that Krishna is just so far away. He's not. So the process of devotional service uncovers all of these coverings, and then realization of our relationship with Krishna is revealed through the process of pure devotional service, following these 3 points: scriptural evidence, perseverance in practice, and ultimately theistic conduct, like that. So yeah, that's the science. And Lord Chaitanya is very merciful. Therefore, devotees should learn as much as they can about Lord Chaitanya. He is not only merciful and very easily available, but one cannot fathom the depth of his mercy. Srila Prabhupada would also say that. One time, Srila Prabhupada came to one temple in America. It was Atlanta, Georgia. I remember the day. It was at the very end of February in the year 1975. And Prabhupada came, and devotees from all over America practically came to see Prabhupada. The temple was packed beyond limit, and devotees were even standing outside the window looking in. There was no room in the temple. Plus, there were guests who also came. It was a Sunday feast lecture. No, it wasn't the Sunday feast. It was a different lecture. Yeah, Prabhupada gave the Sunday feast lecture also. And when he first arrived, he sat down on the Vyasasana, and then the altar is arranged where there's a beautiful set of Gaurnitai in the middle. Big brass Gaurnitai, huge size. On the right is Radha and Krishna. On the left is Jagannath. At that time, there was no Radha Krishna. It was only Jagannath on the left and Gaurnitai in the middle. Later on, Radha and Krishna came and they were placed on the right. They kept Gaurnitai in the center. And when Prabhupada sat down, he started to pick up a small pair of kartals, and he started to sing, Padamakaruna Bahudui Jani Nitai Gaura Chandra. He didn't get very far. Prabhupada immediately started to go into a very subdued state of consciousness, and he stopped singing. He closed his eyes, and there was a complete silence throughout the temple. It felt like it lasted only a minute or so, but it felt like 100 years. Prabhupada was in ecstasy. And then you could see, those who were close, they could see Prabhupada's eyes were tearing up, and he was shedding tears. And then at one point, he opened his eyes and he said, just chant Hare Krishna. These two personalities are so kind. They're so kind. They're so kind. He couldn't get over his emotion. And Prabhupada would usually restrain himself from anything done in public, not to make a show or not to teach people that this is what you should do. He would always restrain himself, but this time it was impossible. His heart was so full of Lord Chaitanya's mercy, he couldn't resist. He couldn't restrain himself. So, and then he's also explained to us, you can never understand. You can never understand the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. No matter how intelligent you are, how adept you are of understanding Shastra, you can never understand Lord Chaitanya's mercy. It's unfathomable. And we have the example of the Jagai and Madai pastime, where these two most sinful, decrepit, most fallen personalities, they committed every sin. And they were given the mercy of Gaur Nitai, and they became free from all of their sins, and actually became one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda amongst his entourage. Yamaraj was watching the whole pastime from a distance. When he saw that, he asked his scribes who take down the notes of people's sinful activities and keep a record. So his scribe, chief scribe, is Chandragupta. So he called Chandragupta and he said, "What are the sins of Jagai and Madai?" And Chandragupta said, "Oh, we just hired 30 new scribes, and they're working around the clock, and we cannot keep up with the sinful activities of Jagai and Madai." When uh, Yamaraj heard that, he fainted. He fainted. Now, Yamaraj, if you talk about a person who is grave and deep, he's the personification of it. He's the Lord that has the job of punishing the conditioned souls who live a sinful life. And he fainted. You can imagine how much people are affected by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. It's unbelievable. So we are in a good position to gain the success in Krishna consciousness by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So make that endeavor. Just follow the process as given and very carefully avoid the offenses. And one of the things you must refrain from, as Lord Chaitanya said, I give my full mercy to anyone who does two things, who chants the holy names of the Lord and who does not find fault with others. Adosha Namruchi, Adosha Darshi. Adosha, Adosha means faults, Adosha means no faults. Darshi means to see. One who does not see the faults in others. Even if you do see the faults in others, it's not so important. Just move on. So, yeah, this is Lord Chaitanya's mercy, and he is very kind. And together, you get not only Lord Chaitanya, you get Nityananda, you get Advaita, Gadadhar, and Srivas. And who is Gadadhar? Gadadhar is an incarnation of Srimati Radharani in male form to exchange loving relationships with Lord Chaitanya. As they used to dance together in kirtan in the most beautiful and loving way. That's not described so much because it's just mentioned. No one can describe those dances, and only a few people have seen them. And I don't think there's anybody living who has seen them. And not much is written down about that because Lord Chaitanya would do that in secret with his intimate devotees. So Lord Chaitanya's life is pure devotion to the personification. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi. He's Krishna with Radharani's, what we say, bhav, her love. He's also called Gaurangi, and she's called Gaurangi, and he is called Gauranga. So that means golden limbed. So he took on her color, and he took on her mood, and he executed devotional service in the position of teaching the conditioned souls how to approach Krishna. And therefore, if we approach Lord Chaitanya and follow his instructions, which are very simple, and avoid the offenses, then we can get the full mercy of Krishna in Sri Vrindavan Dham. So that is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So practice that and very carefully learn the offenses, learn what they mean, and avoid them, especially the 10 offenses to the holy name. Okay, so we can stop there and open it up for discussion.
Thank you so much, March, for a wonderful class. Really, it's always so nice to hear about Lord Chaitanya and the glories of the Lord. So, so beautiful. Would request devotees, if possible, if you could turn on your videos wherever you're at, and so that we can have each other's association. And if there are any questions, please do raise your hand, and I will be happy to call upon you. Or if you have a question that you can't speak, but you can type in the message, please do so, and I will be happy to read the message to March for you. March, I would like to ask in the beginning of the class, March, you said that, which I heard you also mention in a class 2 weeks ago, where many people in India don't know Lord Chaitanya so much, only Krishna. And those that worship Krishna without Lord Chaitanya, they can't get so far. What does that actually mean, Marge? Like, can get so far, so like because they only worship Krishna?
Well, the verse I explained is by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, his explanation. If you go to the 8th chapter, verse number 31 of Adi Lila, there's a long purport, but there is a certain section of the purport that answers your question, which is a very important question. 831 of Adi Lila. To me, I could paraphrase it, but I'm not sure I'll do it justice. I think it's better if we actually come to that verse. So, yeah. So go down the page. Let's see. Okay. For an ordinary worship, Lord, unless one is very fortunate, he should not be induced to worship Radha Krishna directly. A neophyte student who is not sufficiently educated and enlightened should not worship the Radha and Krishna or the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Even if he does so, he cannot get the desired results. One should therefore chant the names of Nitai Gaur and worship them without false prestige. Since everyone within the material world is more or less influenced by sinful activities, in the beginning it is essential that one take worship of Guru Gauranga and ask their favor, and thus, despite all his disqualifications, one will very soon be qualified to worship Radha Krishna. So you can see the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So it's enjoined here. Don't try to approach Radha Krishna or the holy name unless you actually go through Guru Gauranga, which is Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. Hooray. And does that answer your question? This is
Yes,
Bhakti.
Maharaj, absolutely. It's
This
very,
is,
very powerful.
this is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati.
Yes.
Prabhupada takes his words and explains it. Yeah. If you read the whole purport, there's a lot there.
Wow.
You just like it
I'll,
says, in order to understand Radha and Krishna worship them and engage in their service, one must be guided by Sri Chaitanya Nityananda and the six Goswamis, Lord Chaitanya's direct disciples. Yeah.
Marge, it's interesting as you were speaking about the last line that you read above the paragraph. What was coming to my mind is it's like it's pretty much, at least for me, it's pretty much almost like serving the spiritual master. Like we can't go directly straight up to the guru. We have to go through the servants of the spiritual master to understand. At least that's what happened to me in my devotional life. To really understand the spiritual master and the spiritual master's mood, we have to go through the direct disciples of the spiritual master to be able to serve the spiritual master. So it's a pretty much a similar concept here, right, Maharaj?
Yeah, and Lord, the spiritual master is a manifestation of Lord Nityananda. He's non-different.
Yeah.
So you're worshiping Lord Nityananda's mood through your spiritual master, who's teaching the science of bhakti and the activities that is needed in order to practice the science of bhakti effectively. So yeah, the guru is the representative of Gaurnitai.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you for the.
But even before you get initiated, you can still chant Gaur Nitai Gaur. and chant the. It says here, even one is sinful and has disqualifications, and still one can get the mercy of Nityananda even before initiation, and get a chance to enter into the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There's no rules and regulations, but ultimately, once he wants to stay serious on the path and get the full results, one should approach the absolute truth through the process of worshiping Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, Guru Garanga.
So much mercy, as you said, March, that's built into Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda.
Yeah, I'm gonna just take a slight break because one of my one devotee is leaving.
Sure, March.
He's flying out, so I need to say goodbye, and I'll be right back.
No problem, March. When March returns, Shivakumar will be your turn, Prabhu.
Yes, Mata. Thank you.
It would be nice if we can see the devotee and say goodbye to him before he leaves too.
Yes. Well, March is already away, and I can, yes. Do you know that devotee, Prabhu, that's leaving?
I think all the yes. We know a
Okay.
devotee that was here that was serving him, and he's
Oh,
leaving.
that is it.
Dharma
Dharma
Vatsal Prabhu is
Yeah.
leaving. Dharma Vatsal Prabhu.
Oh, he's an amazing devotee. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
here
he's
too. So, so sweet, so humble, so simple.
yeah. I think
I,
Maharaj is going to miss him a lot.
oh, yes, because he was really amazing here too. Such a humble devotee. Wow.
We're all
That's,
going to miss him.
yes. Beautiful qualifications of a devotee he sure did have. He does have.
He has, yeah, true.
Rare to find such devotees, with all that bundle package, the devotee qualities. So beautiful.
Exactly.
I remember when they were at my house, and whenever March comes, he insists on having my husband's bread. So he made 3 loaves of bread, and one loaf was finished in lunch, like within 15 minutes. And Dharma Vatsala Prabhu was just having a ball with it with so much butter. It was just so much fun watching it. And then the other loaf got finished for the next day's lunch. We were just cutting and cutting and butter and cutting. He was having a ball. It was so sweet to serve him, though. And then I sent the third and last loaf with Marsh to where did he? To Pittsburgh when he drove from here. Yeah, very humble devotee. He sings beautifully, though.
Yeah, oh wow. His kirtans are amazing. You are
His
absolutely right.
kirtans are amazing.
Yeah.
You can feel and it's like almost you can see the bhakti, and you can feel it, you can see it, and you can taste it. It's like, whoa,
True,
so
true.
such a sweet devotee.
I know. Don't get these qualities of devotees
No,
nowadays.
very rare. It's very rare. And he's one of the rare ones, I have to say. I'm so glad I got a chance to meet him and to have his association. Very nice devotee.
Mm.
And he cracks good jokes.
He does.
He does. He does crack good jokes.
Yeah. And especially the way he says is like hilarious.
Yes, absolutely. The way he says it, it's so funny.
Maharaj is coming back, it seems like.
Yeah.
Okay. Dharma Vatsal is returning to Croatia today. So
Marsh, we were just speaking the glories of Dharma Vatsala Prabhu. You were saying goodbye to him. All the good times we had, the bread butter pastime in my house, the kirtan, and it was sweet. It's very
yeah,
nice devotee.
that was our finale in the U.S. It was nice.
He was really sweet, Marge. Really sweet.
He was so sweet. Yeah.
He's very sweet. Shiva Kumar Prabhu, you had a question. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Hare Krishna Maharaj and out Prams Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So Maharaj, on the topic of the devotees should not directly approach the Lord or even the spiritual master. Through the spiritual master we have to approach, or even for the spiritual master through the devotees, the spiritual master we have to approach. I'm just trying to understand, Maharaj, is that because the purity of the disciple who is approaching is only so much that he has to go through the hierarchy, or there is more to it, Maharaj?
Well, Krishna sets the standards. He says it in the Bhagavad Gita. He approach the bona fide spiritual master, and then he gives three principles. Then the Prabhupada gives three principles in the purport. Tad vidi pratipatena pariprasyena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. You can't approach Krishna directly. It's not possible. Krishna is only approached by pure devotional service. There's a slight tinge of mixed devotional service. There's no question of approaching Krishna. But he's made the process easy through his empowered representative, who is a pure devotee, who can accept the conditioned souls and offer their devotion to Krishna through his bhakti. That's how it works. And so the verse is, Tad vigyartab guru abhigatsche. One must accept the representative of Krishna in order to approach the absolute truth. And it's not like there's someone in between. There's someone who is opening up the path towards Krishna. That's all. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And so what is our qualifications to approach the supreme personality of Godhead? We have no qualifications. It's like if you want to, say you want to, meet the president of the country. You just can't call him up or send him a letter. You have to go through his representatives who can give you permission when the president says, all right, I'll meet this person. So that's even in the material world, to approach a big person is not possible unless there is what we say, a protocol you follow in order to get that darshan. And what you speak about Krishna, who is the president of all presidents. So he's very kind, but there is a process by which you can experience his kindness, and you have to follow that process. So that's traditional, that's cultural, that's history, that's Vedas. The guru is, we say, representing Krishna in the material world. It's just, the Vedas are full of statements about spiritual masters. It's not just something, and this is all ordained by Krishna himself. If Krishna wants to be hard, he won't give you any mercy. In other words, he won't send you a spiritual master. Then you're in trouble. But he's not like that.
Hope that helped, Prabhu.
Rupa
Very nice question.
Goswami explains it in very a step-by-step process. Adao Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. Adao strata means a little faith brings you into the association of devotees. Sadhu Sangha means in the association of devotees, you practice devotional service. The next step is when you become adept and you desire to go further, and it's Bhajana Kriya, that is taking shelter of the spiritual master. And then in Nectar Devotion, it gives you Adao Guvastayam, the 5 principles by which you practice in relationship to the spiritual master. If you want to find that, it's in the Nectar of Devotion somewhere. Can't remember the chapter. It's the chapter with the principles of devotional service, I think. But it might take a while to find it. So anyway, take my word for it. It's one of the principles that when one is required, it's not optional. I've known devotees I've known persons who have been practicing Krishna consciousness for 20, 25 years who still don't have a spiritual master.
Yes.
They hang on simply by Lord Chaitanya's mercy because they chant and they do some service. They're nice people, but they can't progress beyond a certain point.
And why is that so, Maharaj? Like they just get stuck.
Because they have some karma about authority. In previous births, they have some resistance to authority, and the karma manifests in this. So, therefore, they can't deal with authority or can't accept authority. And they don't understand what is the principle that makes up authority and how it's different from the authority we see in the material world. The authority in this material world is also exploiting people, but not in the spiritual realm. The spiritual master is called the mercy manifestation of Krishna. He's not exploiting. He's simply giving Krishna. That's all.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Shivakumar Prabhu. I hope that helped.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, there's a question in the chat by...
Shiv,
Yes, Maharaj.
don't waste time. Take that next step.
Yes, Maharaj. I take your words. Yes.
Yeah, if you are eager, Krishna will send you your spiritual master.
Yes. Yes.
Maharaj, do you know my god brother in Baltimore, Sankirtan Yagna?
Oh yeah.
Remember how long it took him, Maharaj, to take that step?
But now he's so enthusiastic that he's turning other people on.
He even met Prabhupada, he said, last year. And still he didn't take it. He waited for 40-something years and he got initiated in 2000. My goodness, I think a year or two before Bhaktivedanta Swami left. I want to say 2003 or 2004.
Now he chants Nitai Gaur all the time.
All the time, March, you see him and he says Nitai Gora, Nitai Gora, Nitai Gora. He says it all the time.
Yeah, I just saw him in Gitanagari during the festival in June.
Yes, yes, March. I'm so glad he joined. I'm so glad he took the step after so many years. He got the mercy.
He's very kind and he likes to serve devotees too.
Yes, Maharaj. And a very good cook, Maharaj, by the way. Very good cook.
It's something I haven't yet experienced.
Oh, Maharaj, he is a good cook. He makes the best vegan burgers. He is so good. And the best pizza.
Okay, that's what devotees like.
Yes, Maharaj. Burgers and pizza and fries. Absolutely, Maharaj. Krishna Kaviraj Prabhu, please go ahead.
Thank you. Please accept my Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. You're talking about there are many devotees that we know at Bhaktivedanta Manor that have been serving so nicely for so long. Like you were saying, is there anything we can do to help them to take that step that they're not taking and take initiation?
Well, in our classes, we can preach the importance of that. In our life, we can be an example what it means to practice devotional service. And we can also invite them to take part in different spiritual activities. But again, there are people who, I don't know, there was one devotee now, I know, who's a brahmachari, and I just saw him yesterday in Bhaktivedanta Manor. Some people say, I just want Prabhupada. I just want Prabhupada. I don't want nobody else. Prabhupada's my guru. So, but Prabhupada is not available directly, but he's available directly through his representative, the disciplic succession. So those who are in the position of spiritual master, who are Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they connect you with Prabhupada. They connect you with Prabhupada. So this devotee for years, but then he finally took initiation from someone, and now he's really fixed up in Krishna. He was always fixed up, really serious devotee, very serious, very very intelligent also. So yeah, there are different reasons why people don't move to that next step. But they have to, otherwise they don't progress beyond a certain point.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Because from bhajana kriya comes anartha nivritti. And as long as the anarthas are there, you get stuck. Therefore, the spiritual master's guidance and his mercy helps you to cut through the anarthas. There's 4 categories of anarthas. There's 16 anarthas, which are prominent. We should learn those 16 anarthas in the categories and see how to remove them. And that's done by the mercy of the spiritual master. And of course, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Yeah. As anarthas are there, they've been so deeply ingrained in our consciousness due to association with material life. It's not that it's our first life with association. Life after life, we come back in different bodies, many times human, many times below the human. And then when we meet a spiritual master, then this is the chance to progress to the spiritual platform. So to have a body is not such a big thing. In fact, you can't stop getting bodies. As long as you're in the material world, you're going to get a body. You can't, Prabhupada says, you can't tell Krishna, I want this body. Your activities will push you in the direction to get a particular type of body. Your desires and your activities formulate your consciousness, and at the time of death, that consciousness takes you to your next body. So therefore, if we work under the guidance of the spiritual master, practice Krishna consciousness, we're building our spiritual consciousness gradually. As Krishna says, in slow degrees. The process is in slow degrees. So your spiritual body is being awakened gradually through the process of bhakti. And then it culminates in a type of consciousness that connects us with Krishna in devotional service. It's all about consciousness. That's why we say, just be Krishna conscious. That's all. Don't be money conscious, husband and wife conscious, kid conscious, car conscious, AI conscious. Be Krishna conscious.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hope that helped, Krishna Kaviraj Prabhu. Very nice question.
Thank you.
Very nice. Maharaj, there's a question in the chat by Pavani. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. So all glory to Srila Prabhupada and your divine lotus feet.
Okay,
Maharaj,
one second. Somebody's
Sure.
at the door. I just have to
Sure, Maharaj.
let it in.
Sure.
I'll be back in a second.
Sure, Maharaj.
Okay, ready to go?
Thank you, Maharaj. And the question continues saying, Maharaj, we read and we read and hear that everything we do is because of our karma. So how do we understand the difference between what we are choosing to do now and what we are doing because of our karma?
Well, there's a combination. The karma is what is pushing you in a certain direction. But what you choose now will direct the results of your activities accordingly. So it's not so easy to simply change course because the pushing of the karma is still there. So we use a little analogy. Where you're driving a car and you're going 50 miles an hour and you come to a turn in the road. If you don't slow down, you're not going to make that turn. You're going to go off to the road. But if you slow down, then you can make the turn easy. So you have to slow down in the way you're going and speed up in the way you want to go. So you have to see those things. You have to see the difference between what's favorable in devotional service and what's unfavorable. We're pushed by our karma, that's for sure. But karma actually gets destroyed completely on the higher stages of bhakti. We're getting small results of our karma in terms of the level of practice that we are presently at. And karma, there's cultural karma, there's karma that comes by way of growing up in a certain way, the association in the material world. All these build a certain type of consciousness which causes us to act and think in a certain way. But we have to distinguish between what is favorable or what is material and what is spiritual. Just like you want to watch movies, all right, but watch movies about Krishna or devotionals. Don't watch karmi movies. So our karma might say, oh, I'd like to watch movies. Movies really turn me on. But dovetail it towards Krishna. I like to sing and dance, so don't go to nightclubs or some kind of, outside parties, but just sing and dance for Krishna at the temple or in gatherings with devotees. So we're changing the quality of our karma. We like to criticize others, or we have a tendency to criticize others. Well, how do we get rid of us? Just turn it inward and start finding fault with yourself. And then that kind of criticism will help you to eliminate some of the things you don't need. So everything can be, mostly everything, not sinful activities, but mostly everything can be channeled into the spiritual realm. And then that's the slowing down process, so you can make that curve. Is that all right, Pavni?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
You're hiding. You're not showing. We're she's putting. Oh, there she is. She's 12 years old. She loves Krishna.
Marge, you can see from her questions that this is an old soul. She loves
Yeah,
Krishna. Very old soul.
she was dancing for Lord Jagannath in front of the Rath cart just recently. She's a very,
Wow.
very expert dancer.
Very nice. She's such a sweet girl. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Because of your mercy, Maharaj.
There you go. Sweet girl. Krishna Kailash Prabhu, go ahead.
Raj, you're talking about the chanting of Golnitai. I know that many devotees like to chant the full Panchatattva mantra. So I was just wondering if either is acceptable or if one's more recommended than the other. They both seem to be very powerful.
Before you chant japa, you must chant the Panchatattva mantra. But you can chant Gaurnitai anytime. Nitai Gauranga. We even do kirtans. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaur Hari. Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Gaur Hari. So we sing these different mantras, which are in glorification. We do kirtan sometimes. We intersperse Lord Chaitanya's mantras in there. And the whole place explodes when you do. We even chant Gauranga, 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 and then goes to Nityananda, 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 Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaur Hari. Yeah. And there's other mantras that glorify Lord Chaitanya. So we do that in kirtan sometimes, not regularly, but often. And then, but to approach the chanting of the holy name, we must chant that Panchatattva mantra. That's a requirement.
Sometimes I hear, even in Kirtan, Panchatattva mantra repeatedly chanted. And I know some people like to chant whole rounds of Panchatattva mantra.
All right, but they should do equal amounts of chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
Okay.
Actually,
Lord
go ahead,
Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya is bringing us to the Hare Krishna mantra. So if we stop at Lord Chaitanya, then. But Lord Chaitanya's mantra is easy because there's no offenses. Chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you can commit offenses. So that's why we approach Lord Chaitanya first to get the mercy.
Thank you, Maharaj.
March, when you were chanting the different mantras of Lord Chaitanya, I thought you're gonna rock into a kirtan, March. It was just right there. I felt.
Yeah, I just didn't think I wanted to go into that direction too much because
I could feel it like a little bit inching, a little bit, Marge.
I think Dheeraj was smiling beyond his ability to smile. He's-
I could just feel it. Thank you, Marge. Marge, there is a question in the chat.
There's one devotee. There's more than one, but there's one, Prabodhananda Saraswati. Let's see, Prabodhananda Saraswati. He doesn't want to know about any incarnation other than Gauranga. He met Lord Chaitanya personally. After he became so attracted to Lord Chaitanya, all he can do is think about, glorify, and speak about Lord Chaitanya. Even sometimes doesn't, in a very simpler way, he derides worship of other incarnations. His love for Lord Chaitanya is just overwhelming. So yeah, there are devotees and those who actually worship Gaur Nitai, along with chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If they reach perfection and go back to the spiritual world is divided into three sections. Goloka Vrindavan is three sections. One is those who enter into Krishna's pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan. That's the major section. Krishna's interacting with his devotees in different rasas. But then there is another section where there is constant kirtan, where Lord Chaitanya and his associates are there, and you can join their kirtan, and you just chant all the time.
And what's the third one, Marge?
You really want me to explain it?
Okay, Marge, I'll keep quiet.
There's a particular pastime where Nanda Maharaj went to bathe in the river, but he went too early. And then he was captured by Varuna and taken to Varuna's abode. And he was kept there. So Krishna found out about it. So Krishna came to save his father. So when he came to Varuna's abode, Varuna immediately offered obeisances and prayers to Lord Krishna. Nanda Maharaj was shocked because he always saw Krishna as his son. Now this big, powerful demigod is offering prayers. So there's a section in Vrindavan, in Goloka Vrindavan, where those who worship Krishna in the mood of Krishna. But that's a small section. And it's based on that particular pastime. Now you might not find that so much. Usually they say it's divided into two. But there's all other statements that indicate this other pastime also.
Marge, I've heard Bhakti Churu Swami, Indradunya Swami, and I believe Jayapataka Swami saying that in the spiritual world in Golok Vrindavan there is ISKCON. Where is that in these two, Marge?
Prabhupada said it, yeah. He said, we'll have our ISKCON in the spiritual world, and I'm waiting for you to come back.
And is that in one of these two parts, Marge?
That I can't answer. Honestly, I don't really know. But if you read the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitam, right, it's called the trunk of the tree of bhakti, or the trunk of the tree of devotional service, how it expands itself out into different sections. Okay. And one of them, Prabhupada says, is one branch is the ISKCON branch.
Okay, Marge, I will read it up. Thank you, Marge. I was just curious. I've heard that, and I was wondering.
It's not like the ISKCON in the way it's being managed in this world.
No. Absolutely not.
It's the pure ISKCON.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard that. I was just wondering.
Yeah,
Thank you much.
there's a particular, I forgot which chapter, but it's in Adi Lila. It's
Mm.
trunk
I'll
of
look
the,
for it.
yeah, the trunk of the tree of bhakti or devotional service is the title of the chapter.
Okay, I'll look for that, Marge. Thank you. Marge, that's a very nice question from Nrsimha Leela. Beautiful. She always asks amazing questions. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance. So good to show Prabhupada. Good Guru Maharaj, while reading Sudha Bhakti Chintamani, I found that unsteady devotional service is impotent to eradicate most of the anarthas that spring from namaparad. Steady devotional service removes more of these anarthas, but that bhava nullifies all but a few. At bhava, only offenses to Vaishnavas remain. Absolute freedom from anarthas only after returning to the spiritual world. After returning this, I can't say I felt discouraged, but I definitely felt something that caused anxiety. Could you please comment on that? How to stay inspired and careful while performing devotional service after knowing this?
So this is a statement by Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his Bhajana Rahasya, where he describes that the offenses can carry all the way up to the level of bhava and even into the level of prema. He says, only when you see Krishna face to face, there's no chance of committing offenses. And we have examples where people have climbed really high on the spiritual platform and somehow fell down. We have the example of Jai and Vijay, who are on the gates of the spiritual world, but they've offended the four Kumaras. So that happened not in the spiritual world, but at the gates of the spiritual world. So think about that, how these two persons, Jai and Vijay. Of course, there's another reason that the Lord wanted to fight, so he arranged for that. But there's one particular pastime where his name was Rupa Kaviraj, I think. He was a great orator of devotional service. He was on the Bhava platform, and he used to give classes, and people would gather, and he would speak and glorify Krishna in Vrindavan. He had a large following. One time he was giving a lecture, and one lady, who was also a very great devotee, her name was Krishna Priya, she came to listen to his lecture. She sat somewhat in the back, but her situation is she couldn't stop chanting. It wasn't possible for her to stop chanting. So when he was talking, he noticed that she was chanting. So he actually pointed her out and says, "Oh, you come for the lecture, but now you're chanting, you're not listening." So he wanted her to stop chanting if she wanted to participate in the lecture. She couldn't do that. So he committed offense to her, and he did it in public. And later on, he lost his status and fell down to the lower stages of bhakti. She was a great soul. She was actually a pure devotee, and he was almost on the platform of pure devotional service. That's one example. There's others that devotees climb high, even in our Krishna consciousness. We see people who have been practicing for 50 years, and after some time, all of a sudden, they fall down to material sense gratification again. It's usually due to offenses. You can rid yourself from the reactions of defenses once you notice you've committed offense. But if you don't do that, that offense will carry on. And Krishna will not tolerate offenses to his devotees. Even if you are a devotee, still you can't say I'm a devotee and I can do anything. No, you can't. It's not like that. So you have to be careful. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya gave the formula: Trinadapi Sanichena Tayoriva Sahishnuna Maninam Amanadetana Kirtaniya Sadarahi. In the same chapter, it says, take this ornament and string it on the necklace of the holy name and wear it as your ornament. Then you can chant Hare Krishna. Then you'll unlikely to commit offenses if you practice that verse.
Hope that helped Nrsinga Lila Prabhu. She asked amazing questions.
Yeah,
very nice, deep
yeah,
questions.
that's an important question.
Yes, very important.
So don't get discouraged. Just avoid offenses. That's all.
Yeah. Marsh, there's another question by Hema Ganga. Well, I think you answered it, but her question was how to improve the quality of not finding fault with others.
When you see faults, just immediately look for their good qualities. That's mentioned. There's 5 things. One who only sees faults. Then one who sees faults and good qualities side by side. One who sees faults as potential good qualities, and one who does not see faults at all. 4 stages. So we find ourselves on that second stage. We see faults and good qualities. So don't worry about the faults. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would say, if the faults of others disturb you, look inside yourself and see what it is about yourself that's causing you to become disturbed. Think about that one. So there's something about us that allows us to become disturbed by other person's faults. If there are people who have to deal with faults, but there's only 3 categories that I know of. Gurus have to correct the faults of their disciples. Teachers have to correct the faults of their students. Parents have to correct the faults of their children. Outside of that, no one else has any, what we say, right to take the position of being the keeper of the pack, you know. I know one devotee, I won't mention his name, he's no longer living. He used to keep a tab on all the sannyasis in ISKCON and look for their faults. And he would keep a website and he would categorize their faults according to. So he would look for faults. And then after a while, the devotees couldn't tolerate him anymore, so they didn't allow him in the temple. But he kept up. And COVID came. He got COVID. After somehow he got cured. But then he got a second relapse of COVID and he died. And nobody was really lamenting his loss except his wife. Yeah, he was really voracious. He found faults with so many. I can tell you what he found fault with me. Should I tell you? He found
Will
fault.
it make us laugh, Marge?
He found fault with me because I'm preaching in prisons. He said these people should suffer. We shouldn't give them any. They've committed these heinous crimes and they're due to suffer.
Then the whole understanding of Jaga and Mother went right out of the window.
Yeah, exactly. I never said anything. I just, because when you find fault finders who are determined, you just ignore them. And so, as soon as you try to fight with them, they get more snake-like. Prabhupada said you have to be careful. There are people in this movement who are not devotees. They present themselves as devotees. Call them Kali Chala. Their Chala means disciple, disciples of Kali. He said, Tilak, Mala, they have.
Maharaj,
Yeah.
are there situations, Maharaj, of devotees who are fault finders? Because that's one, I mean, of course, there are many, but there's one that comes to my mind very, very strongly. Are there, Maharaj, where there are devotees who are fault finders and they're so s- it's part of their nature, like they can't separate it, but they're still chanting the holy name. They don't come to the temple, but they're very quick to find fault. What happens to them, Maharaj?
They're
Like,
not chanting the holy name. They're just chanting some words. That's all. Krishna's not there. You can't be, a practicing fault finder and expect to get the mercy of the Lord. It's just completely opposite.
mm,
Devotees make friends and develop loving relationships with others. Guru finds faults with his disciple, but he very carefully uses his ability to see how to remove that without breaking the disciple. Parents should do the same thing with children, not to get so heavy with them that the child wants to run away, but somehow correct them and guide them in the right direction in a loving way. Teachers have to do that with students, but that's their service to the students. And the students put themselves underneath the teachers for guidance. But other than that, where do you just present yourself as the, keeper of the pack. And this is not bhakti.
Maharaj, if I can follow up with a question, and then I'll come to you, Manohar Krishna Prabhu. Maharaj, for such devotees, sometimes should we, I'm jumping all over the place here. Maharaj, should we avoid the association or because sometimes it can be tricky with fault
Well,
finders.
there was we got two examples, one in the Shastras and one in ISKCON. Both, and the one was Gopal Bhatta Goswami. When someone would be speaking badly about another devotee, he would immediately say, "Oh, he's chanting Hare Krishna, he has all good qualities." And then there was one devotee in ISKCON, his name was Jayananda. If he was with devotees and they start talking bad about somebody, he immediately walk away. Ask no questions, turn around and just leave the group. And that was a message too. Oh, Jayananda's walking away. It looks like we're speaking something wrong. Yeah, so yeah. So don't listen to it.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Manohar Prabhu, go ahead.
I mean, there's ways you can get yourself out. Sometimes people capture you and start talking about somebody, and all of a sudden you're stuck. And you say, oh, and then you start asking them questions to turn the whole thing around. Or you might use a very ordinary way. Excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom. it's it's an emergency.
There's one Mars that I really avoid because it is so much in this person's vocabulary that you just don't know when it's going to come up, so I stay away.
I just remember there's another statement. And
Mhm.
when you get a blasphemer like that, there's three things you have to do. There's three options. You can defeat him. You can, um, what will you say? You can, you can give up your life. Or the last one is you
Walk
can
away.
walk away. So we don't recommend you give up your life because you may be a Brahmana and therefore you get guilty of killing a Brahmana, which is another offense. And if you can't defeat him, then walk away. That's Shastra.
I chose the third option with this person, Maharaj, because it's just too much. Can't handle it.
And just walk away.
Yeah.
Or busy yourself with something else.
I'll definitely use the bathroom excuse. That's perfect, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. Manohar Krishna Prabhu, it's yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to you, all goes to all the assembled devotees here and everywhere else. Maharaj, in fact, I believe I have got the answer already. I was also trying to ask about one of the devotees here, which I feel, although I try not to really go into that mindset to think about that, but I'm just trying to understand through you that there is a specific devotee that I feel that she has a tendency to bring out the fault, or rather, and that the fault again, what she tried to bring out is more related to the religious activities. That whatever that we do in the devotional services, she would try to bring out some of the other fault on the name of Prabhupada. She would say, "No, Prabhupada, do not want this to happen this way. You should change this and do it like this." So she would take the name of Prabhupada and probably bring out the fault in almost every activity somebody is trying to do. So
Well, there are certain times where certain people are doing something in the Sangha of devotees which is causing a problem. So there should be someone there to correct that because it affects the rest of the Sangha. But
yes.
to make it a program or an occupation then that means that person has a fault finding mentality. Just like if somebody was speaking nonsense and telling them that this is the truth, you say, no, this is not right. This is not according to Shastra. Or certain behaviors are not acceptable, especially in association with devotees, and particularly not in temples. So those behaviors should be corrected. Like the other day, I got into my fault-finding mood. So we were having Ratha Yatra, and the devotees were singing this mantra. They were singing the Hare Krishna mantra and call and response. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, back and forth. Krishna, like that. And Prabhupada said, don't do that. He said, you don't break up the mantra. So I very nicely went up to the singer and said, sing the mantra straight through. This is not the way Prabhupada wanted it. So, I didn't want that to get spread around as something that is acceptable because Prabhupada specifically said that. Don't break up the mantra. When you sing it the way it is straight through. That's one thing. We do that. Hare Krishna, was it Hare Krishna, Krishna? It's not what Prabhupada, he didn't like that. And then there's another one, I had number 2 fault finding. We were, of course, this was I don't know if I should say it. I doubt, right? So we're dancing in front of the Jagannath cart and Balaram's cart, actually. And you got these guards that are pushing the crowd along. So they keep pushing. There's sign to keep the crowd moving. And we couldn't dance. All we could do is keep running and dancing because they want to keep moving. And I found it hard to dance. And I said, Jagannath Ratha Yatra means to dance in front of Lord Jagannath and his brother Balaram and Subhadra. So, give us a chance to dance, But every time we stopped to dance, They were there to push us along. So they wanted to, there's certain rules that the police say you have to keep it moving. So they're instructed to do that. So they're doing their service. And they're doing it in a nice way. But I felt it was somewhat destroying the mood of the Rath that they could allow for a little dancing and then move on. But it wasn't like that. We just got to keep on moving. Once in a while, we would stop when the cart got too far behind. And then we would wait for the cart to catch up. And then you could dance there. But it was difficult. So, so I'm a fault finder. What can I do? I'm trying to correct that.
Oh, Maharaj. So I have a follow-up question, Maharaj, here. So, of course, I believe whatever that you are suggesting, that's more to make the other person get into the right path of bhakti. So I'm sure that is not about fault finding. But in this scenario that I was just discussing, what if the other person is not ready to listen at all, and rather get into an argumentative mode?
Then
So
just, I mean, then you both start committing offenses towards each other, and then the thing gets, just let it go.
yeah,
When you see the resistance to your guidance, then let it go. Or if it's so severe, you can call another person, say, this is the situation. Someone who's in a leadership position, someone who's the organizer,
right.
to explain that this person's causing a disturbance and maybe you should do something.
Right. So the final point that I was trying to check with you, Maharaj, is if we just let the other person, or rather just leave it, the other person like that, knowing the nature of the other person or getting argumentative, is it okay to just leave the other person like that? I mean, let her, keep coming back with the faults in others, but we should not go back and try to make her, convinced on how she should correct herself.
Yeah, if she stays in Krishna consciousness, she'll get enough messages.
Right.
There was one lady, she was a teacher. She had many students. I can't remember. This is in one book about the glorification of Srila Prabhupada. And this is used as an example. And she was expert in her teaching, and she would try to teach her students. But many of the students couldn't get it. And she would say, it's so easy. Why can't you understand it? Why can't you get it? And this was going on regularly. She would say that. And then one day, she got sick. And she wasn't able to teach anymore. So Krishna showed her, it's so easy. Why can't you do it? That was a little message.
Got it. Got it.
We
Thank
have
you.
to, just look for the good qualities in others, and you develop a wonderful relationship. You try to serve the devotees. Even if you find a fault finder, if you can do some service for them, they may start to, mellow out a little bit.
Sure, Maharaj. Wonderful. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Nice question, Prabhu. Thank you. Maharaj, there's a question in the chat by Rasa Vilasani Radha. She said, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all good to Shri Prabhupada and Gurudev. Sometimes, Maharaj, when we see that the faults are within us, we feel so much guilt that sometimes devotees even become depressed. And because of this, we also start feeling low in our bhakti. I mean, how should we look at our faults in such a way that we don't go down in our bhakti, but at the same time, we are able to improve ourselves?
Well, don't be surprised when you see faults, because that's the nature of conditional life. But don't let it overwhelm you. The process of bhakti is meant to free yourself from these anarthas and then move you forward to the platform where you become free from all of these. So yeah, this is called jealousy. Envy means you find faults in others and you try to deride them. Jealousy means you find fault in yourself because you're not as good as others. Oh, I'm so fallen. Oh, I can't do nothing. Therefore, I won't do anything. I'm so fallen. And some people, well, they would say that the problem, I'm so fallen. Prabhupada said, well, get up. Don't stay down. The process is to get you up. And when you catch yourself and noticing your faults, just then you see what you need to do. Avoiding certain behavior, avoiding certain mentalities. These will help to overcome those faults.
Marge, can you repeat, Marge, how you identify envy? Is it finding faults and I forgot.
Envy is seeing others and becoming unhappy because others are better than you, others are more popular than you, others are getting more praise than you. In other words, you, and sometimes you even want to tear them down so you can push them down because their success bothers you, especially if you have the same occupation. Then it becomes, yeah. And then jealousy means, well, I find fault in, because someone is better than me and I'm so low, I become jealous of them, but at the same time, I don't say anything, I don't do anything, I just turn it inward. That's jealousy. It's synonymous with envy, but it has a certain twist about it. It's a little more personal.
Thank you, Marge. Very powerful. Thank you. So Kavat Brahmantri, please go ahead.
Hi Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to you, Lotus Feet. You have touched base on my question already, Guru Maharaj, but I just wanted a little bit more clarification on some things. If the system has got something wrong, is it not advisable to raise that issue? Because the senior devotees believe it is right and they are not ready to accept it.
Well, what makes you the judgment whether it's right or wrong? If you're sure and you can back it up by statements by Prabhupada and Shastra, and then you can go to their authorities. Don't try to approach them directly. And say, this is what I see. What do you think?
Okay.
There's authorities, and then there's people who work underneath authorities who is also authority too. And the ultimate authority is the spiritual master. And especially if they have a responsibility to manage a certain area, like the GBC, then they're the authority for that area. So take it on the local level, take it on the next level, take it on the national level, take it on the international level. There's different levels of how much you're concerned about it.
Okay, thank
But
you.
you have to be sure. You have to be sure it's wrong.
Yeah.
If you're not, then you'll be committing offenses.
Okay.
Okay, I think I have to end here because.
Yes, Marge, I was about to say the same thing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Marge, and to thank all the devotees for joining us. And we thank Marge for giving his time. Vanchakraptibhyascha, Kripa Sindhobevacha, Patitanam Pavinebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Holiness Candramauli Swami Ki Jai.
Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Guru
Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol,
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Guru Maharaj.
Dol,
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare
Devotees.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai. Bhakti Jai, Guru Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank you so much, Anustiya Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Ansya Mataji.
No problem. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
everyone.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Have a blissful day.